another Q&A session for the Shape Up and Shaping Up programs. I've got Alice.
Hello.
Freshly back from work. Bit late today.
Yep, it was a late one, but never mind. We still made it.
We made it. That's good. I've obviously, as normal, I put the stuff out on the socials with a few questions. I've got a couple of questions in, and then obviously from the check-in forms as well. I've been a good boy. I've done my check-ins already this week just because I had a bit of time yesterday, and some good progress, some good questions, and again some struggles as well that we've gone through, and a couple of things that we're going to go through on that. I'm going to start with one question that's a little bit, and this is based on conversations, a question that was posted on my Instagram wall stories, and also based on a conversation I've had with a couple of clients this week as well. And the question was on the wall specifically was, what are the recommended supplements for menopause? Because the person in question said it's really confusing with all the information out there. You know, there's lots, and I get that. And I've had this conversation with a lot of clients, a lot of my one-to-one clients who are approaching or going through perimenopause, and some of them have gone through. And it's kind of like, what do I take? Because it is, and I think we've said this before, it's a massive market out there. So supplements that are recommended, what would your basic ones be?
Oh, I would say you want to stick with like your creatine, obviously, like anything that you'd normally take anyway. It'd be like your creatine, your vitamin D, omega-3s, and all of those. Like stick with those. But like I said, there's a massive hormone change that's coming in the body, and like I said, it's just a huge market of it that it can be quite hard to navigate. Like what specific ones are going to help you. But I think really you just want to be focusing on like keeping up with your calories, like making sure you're getting like your fruit and veg in, to make sure you're getting like all of your micronutrients as well. And if you are struggling with that, maybe a multivitamin would help, just to help keep like the rest of you healthy. But if you're eating like a rounded, balanced diet, that wouldn't be as important. But you will find that it's harder to hold on to those as you get like a little bit older as well. So that can be something that's beneficial. And yeah, anything that's going to help like overall health like that would be sort of your main starting point. And then I guess it's just seeing if there's anything else that you're really suffering from in terms of your symptoms that may then help, whether that's like B vitamins as like a main one, which can drop as well. You know, it'd probably be like another starting point. But I'd say just like your well-rounded ones would be where to start, and then see how you're feeling. Anything more specific you need, then seek that specific help, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I'm 100%. I mean, there's nothing, and yes, it is difficult. It's difficult because your body's going through changes. There's lots of variations within your hormones, but the same basic advice applies if you're going through perimenopause to what you would do before. Vitamin D, I think everybody in the UK should take vitamin D.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the weather, and actually, if you look between October and March, the sun doesn't get high enough in the sky for our bodies to get enough sunlight to produce vitamin D. So absolutely vitamin D. I'd start off with 1,000 IU as the basic level. You know, but 1,000 to 2,000 IU is a good enough sort of amount. It is worth perhaps asking your doctor to get your vitamin D levels checked. You do specifically have to ask for that. It's not always something that is routinely checked. I had a blood test recently and I specifically asked vitamin D, and the doctor agreed. I take 2,000 IU, my vitamin D levels are good. And that works for me. And I work indoors all the time, even in the summer. I take 2,000 IUs all the way. I'm a hermit almost. I'm always in the gym. But yeah, vitamin D, that's the first one. Omega-3s, if you don't eat a couple of portions of oily fish across the week, then omega-3 is going to be another one. Creatine, I think creatine particularly for perimenopause, because one of the risks is loss of muscle mass, loss of bone density. Creatine can help both of those. And it's also, there are some studies that suggest that it can help with brain fog, because it helps with, it can help with cognitive function, brain function. So, you know, the brain, and I've said this before, we need to do it. We need to do a podcast on creatine. We do need to do a whole one. But creatine, it's one of the main one of the brain's main energy kind of processes. So actually saturating your body with creatine can help with your cognitive function. And then, yeah, I absolutely with you on that one. B vitamins, but go and get your blood tested. If you're feeling fatigued, over fatigued and tired, and your diet is good and you're well hydrated, then it's worth going to your doctors and just saying, right, can I have a blood test? Because it may well be low vitamin B, particularly vitamin B12. As we get older, we get less good at absorbing it from the diet, so we might need a bit of supplementation, or even occasional injections and boosters. Magnesium's another one. There's quite a few people in the UK that are magnesium deficient. A good source of magnesium, you'd be pleased to know, is good quality dark chocolate.
Excellent.
Which is, well, it's why I tend to have a square of dark chocolate most nights. But yeah, there are other sources as well. So, but magnesium, and one of the supplements, that's something that is regularly recommended for perimenopause, is a magnesium supplement. But you need to be careful which one you actually go for, because there's lots. You've got citrate, lactate, glycinate, chloride, oxide. There's all sorts of different ones. And basically that's magnesium with another substance within the compound to form what we call the magnesium salt. Chemistry teacher side coming out now. But each one has a different kind of use. So cheaper supplements tend to be magnesium oxide. It's not very readily absorbed in the body, but actually, and you don't really use it for magnesium deficiency. It's something that's used for treating like heartburn, and it's a reasonably good laxative in high doses as well. If you're looking for something that you want to be well absorbed, then you've got things like magnesium glycinate, which can help increase your magnesium levels, but it's also been shown to have kind of a calming effect, because it's magnesium attached to an amino acid called glycine, and glycine has had this, it's been shown to have a calming effect, an anti-anxiety effect in the body, and has been potentially, there is some limited evidence to show that potentially it could help with sleep. So I'd sort of recommend magnesium glycinate as that one. But you could use magnesium lactate, magnesium citrate, or chloride as well. But yeah, glycinate's probably the one for that. But yeah, and everything else, the stuff that's marketed towards perimenopausal women, it's a lot of it is not worth the money. As we said, a food first approach, that's going to be the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just keep it, have that healthy, balanced diet, and actually, just keep doing what you're doing. Like you say, just maybe add in some of the extras, and you'll be okay. But it's just remembering that your body is going through a lot of changes, but you just want to keep up that healthy lifestyle, and don't try not to let it affect you in that sense as well.
Yeah. Okay, so next one. This is one I had on a couple of check-in forms, and also posted online, and I've had this question so many times. So is it normal to feel hungry on a diet, and what can you do about it?
Well, yes. Ultimately, bottom line, absolutely yes, because your body will be fighting that deficit. So your body has a certain amount of calories, which is just the energy that your body burns daily. Through your lifestyle, will burn a certain number of calories. When you put yourself in a deficit, you are eating less your body is burning. So naturally, your body is going to want you to be consuming more to bring it up to where it wants to be. But you want to be eating that bit less to put it in that deficit to help with your fat loss goals, so that's where you want it to be. So it's absolutely normal to feel a little bit hungry. If you find yourself absolutely starving all of the time, then maybe you might want to increase them ever so slightly and just double check your calculations. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with feeling a little bit hungry. You do have two hormones that control your hunger. You've got your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. So that'll be the one that's kicking in that little bit more when you are eating in a deficit and you are eating less than your body's burning. Then you've got your leptin, which is the one that tells you that your body's full. So your ghrelin will be kicking in that little bit more because your stomach is definitely wanting some more food to help support your movement through the day. But ultimately, you will feel a little bit more hungry because you are consuming less than you're burning. But yeah, just make sure you're not absolutely starving. It's very normal to be hungry around meal times. And once your body gets into a regular cycle of your meal timings, you'll find yourself starting to get hungry around that same time every day, which is just a very natural response to your body knowing when you're going to feed it, which is why structured meal timings can be really helpful with the fat loss as well. But yeah, make sure you're not absolutely starving, but a little bit of hunger is not a bad thing.
I think that's right. And, you know, and we do need to understand that. And one of the things that you can use is something called the hunger scale. So one is it goes from 1 to 10. 1 is like painfully hungry, like you're starving, ravenous. 10 is you're stuffed and it hurts, you're painfully stuffed. We want to be around the middle, so somewhere between kind of 4, 5, and 6. 4 is, you know, you could eat a small. It's no, 4's just about satisfied. 5 is comfortably satisfied. 6 is starting to feel full. And if you're around those, that's fine. I think the other thing as well is that, yes, we need to understand that hunger is normal, and it is controlled by those. We can do a couple of things. So the first one is make sure you're eating enough protein. Protein is a highly satiating food, but there are other foods as well. So if you Google the satiety index, there's a list of 30 odd foods that they actually did experiments on, and they fed to a large cohort of people, fed them this fixed amount of fixed number of calories of different foods, and then recorded the hunger post mealtime. And ironically, the most satiating food was white potatoes. Okay. They used white bread as a baseline, so that was like 1. And then about 3 to 3.5 times more satisfying were white potatoes. The next one was ling fish, which is like a white fish. Oats was another one up there as well, the poisonous porridge oats. So porridge oats are good, but yeah, high protein foods tend to register high. High fiber foods tend to register high on the satiety index, and then the foods that are high in fat and sugars as well. So croissants rated very lowly, chocolate bars, that sort of stuff, they tend to be less filling. So use the higher filling foods, higher protein, higher fiber. That's going to help keep you fuller for longer. Now, the other thing as well, just you mentioned leptin. One of the things we need to realize is that when we are trying to lose weight, so leptin is the satiety hormone. It's produced in your body fat, but the more body fat you have, the more leptin you produce, and you become desensitized to it. So you actually don't feel fuller. As we lose weight, we will produce less of it, but we become more sensitive to it. So it actually becomes easier to feel more satisfied, but it does take time. Okay.
Yes.
So yes, it's normal to feel hungry because you're depriving your body. Ironically, obviously, the more calories, the bigger the calorie deficit, the more hungry you will feel. Ironically, it's not a perfectly linear scale. There is a point where hunger actually decreases, and you can do highly aggressive calorie deficits for a short period of time. There is some evidence that like short-term fasts can help with that, but that's complicated. But yeah, so a kind of a low to moderate deficit, that will bring on a certain level of hunger to combat that high protein, high fiber, and then just plenty of hydration. And again, regular meal times. Get your meals into a routine, because if you're eating at different times of the day, it's just going to throw your hunger hormones all over the place. Yeah. I think we answered that one. Next one, diet breaks. So this is something that's come up with a couple of clients, and also I've had a couple of questions online. So somebody mentioned diet breaks, and it ties into it. There's a few things here together. So this is all about like a weight loss journey. Diet breaks, why take them, when and for how long, or what are they? So what's your take on diet breaks?
So diet breaks to me is where you've obviously been eating in a deficit when you're looking at like a fat loss journey, for example, and then you bring your calories back up to maintenance. Just that short period of time. So you keep training as you're training, keep everything else the same in terms of like your daily activity and movement, but you're just increasing your calories like up to maintenance. Just for a short period of time before then going back into a deficit.
Yeah, and diet breaks are, there's been a few studies on diet breaks and periods of dieting. Some people say diet breaks improve fat loss. The studies don't actually show that. I can't remember. I can't remember whether it was the Matador study or the Ice Cap study. But there's a few kind of studies that have done it, and they don't show that diet breaks improve rate of fat loss, but what they do improve is adherence. Dieting is hard. Mentally, it's hard. Fat loss is hard. You are depriving yourself. You've got to be quite structured and disciplined in the calories you're eating. And to do that for a good period of time, if you're looking to lose sort of 10, 15, 20 kilos, 3 stone plus of body weight, it's going to take 12 months or even more sometimes to do it sustainably and keep the weight off. That's a long period of time. So periodically, I would suggest sort of every maybe 10 to kind of 15 weeks, every 2 to 3 months, have a period where we eat at maintenance. How long? Some people say that if you're in a deficit for 10 weeks, then you need to be eating at maintenance for kind of half that period. I think that's probably a bit extreme, but certainly 1 to 2 weeks in between. So maybe having a 10-week period in a deficit and then having a 2-week period where you eat at maintenance. Do you still track? If you're tracking in a deficit, I think it's worth tracking in a maintenance for a couple of days to see where your calories are, because otherwise you're just at risk of kind of just overeating and then putting weight. Okay, so track for a period and then eat at that sort of level that works for you, and then go back into the deficit. That's going to give you that break mentally. It's going to give you more energy because you're going to have more kind of calories in there. So you might find that your training works a little bit better, and then you can go again so that you can adhere more readily to it. Do be aware that if you increase your food intake, your weight will go up.
Right? That was the other one. Yeah.
So in a diet break, your weight will go up, but it's not fat because you're eating at maintenance, and maintenance means you're maintaining body fat. So weight might go up because you've got more food, because you're replenishing your carb stores, so water weight increases. But I'd do that, and that's something that if I'm kind of working with a client, it kind of falls naturally. If you're going on a holiday, use that as a diet break. If you've got a birthday coming up, maybe use that as a period to have a diet break. Christmas, for example. So you don't necessarily need to plan them in, but just be aware. And there are signs that can crop up. So if you're feeling a little bit more tired, if your hunger levels are starting to really kick in, you're noticing that if you're in the gym and your lifts are starting to drop, then it might be worth, right, I've been dieting like this for 10 weeks. Do you know what? Let's increase the calories for a little bit, and just have that 2-week break. And then one last thing on that is that actually it allows you to practice the skills you need to maintain weight, because that's one thing that people forget, so yeah. All right, this one is the last question. Is kind of, it's 2 questions. So one of them was like, somebody's asked me, so my weight loss has plateaued, do I need a reverse diet to boost metabolism? Okay, and then there's another one that says, what do I do when I've reached my goal, when I've lost enough body fat, when I've reached my goal, what's the process? And it's sort of kind of the same thing. So we've covered weight loss plateau. I don't think we need to go through that one again. If you're not sure, go back to last week's and the weeks before's. But reverse dieting, not necessary. Okay. There is this, some people say that we need to kind of increase our calories over time to allow your metabolism isn't broken. Yes, your metabolism can slow down in the fat loss phase. That's normal. There is less of you. You are going to burn fewer calories. Yes, you might be less active. So there is some what we call metabolic adaptation, and you burn fewer, but the actual metabolic processes within your body don't really change that much. And if they do, we're talking like maybe a few tens of calories, not a lot. And as soon as you eat more food, those processes are reversed. Okay. So if your weight loss has plateaued, look at all the other stuff we talked about before: tracking, movement, lifts, are you tracking accurately, all that sort of stuff. If you've reached your fat loss goal, no, you don't need to reverse diet out of that. Work out what your new maintenance calories are. So based on your weight, based on your new activity levels, work out what your maintenance calories are, and then eat up to that. Now, you might say, do you know what? I'm going to eat 100 calories below maintenance. That's fine. Eat at that level, track your food for a few days, eat at that level, and then stay like that for a couple of weeks. Because as we just said, as soon as you increase your food, weight goes up because there's more food, more carbs, more water. Eat like that for a few days, allow your weight to stabilize. And if it stays the same, you've got your maintenance calories. Okay. But yeah, no, you don't need to reverse diet to boost metabolism. Diet breaks are useful for adherence. They don't boost metabolism, not really, not in a meaningful way. Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
agree.
Really, yeah. Like I said, I think once you've reached your goal, obviously celebrate that, be proud of that achievement, and then, like I say, you need to work out where you are. And if you've hit that goal and you want to stay there, you just need to keep doing what you're doing. But you don't need that. It's remembering that you don't need that deficit anymore. Your body now, you want to maintain that, so you want to be at maintenance and just keep training how you're training, doing what you're doing. Don't change anything then about your lifestyle. And
yeah, and I think that's the key thing. It's the whole point of this is we're looking at changing lifestyle. Lifestyle is the key, and I think we were having this conversation before the video. Lifestyle is the key. It is your lifestyle. It's your eating habits. It's your activity. It's everything around the lifestyle that leads you. It's the external influences that lead you to gain weight, lose weight, whatever. If you have gained weight over a period of time, it's the external influences, it's your lifestyle, it's how you eat, it's the activity. And this is why, as we get older, as we hit kind of our mid to late 30s and onwards, we might experience a bit of weight gain. It's not that our metabolism is broken. There's been a study on that, and they've shown that the metabolic rate between the age of 21 and 60 doesn't change. And even beyond that, it doesn't change dramatically. And actually, you can account for the change because of muscle loss, which we can counteract by strength training and eating enough protein. So metabolic rate doesn't change. We cannot blame middle-age spread on slower metabolism. It is purely down to lifestyle. As we get older, we have more responsibilities. We might have more of an office space and a desk-based job. It might be that we're more tired, so we move less. It might be that we're more stressed in the job, so we end up doing things to try and unwind at the weekend, whether that be consume a little bit more alcohol or go out for meals and socializing to unwind. All of these changes are what lead to our change in appearance, our change in weight, and we need to understand that. And if your lifestyle has led to that, then we need to change the lifestyle. And it's not easy. It really isn't easy. Because we can't just go, well, it's my job. My job's leading to this. I need to change, because we have bills to pay. We've got responsibilities. So we need to understand that we've got to make changes. That's the hard bit. That's really hard, and if you're kind of going, right, well, I'm only doing 2,000 steps a day because I'm sat at my desk all the time. Yes, it's hard work to increase those steps, but you need to do stuff that will increase it. It may well be that you take yourself away from your desk for 30 minutes and go for a walk. One of the tips that I've said to you beforehand is I've got an Apple Watch, and it buzzes at me every hour if I don't move. And if I don't move, I get up and I walk around. I mean, I'm lucky. The other thing I want to say is that I'm not one of these people who says we all have the same 24 hours in the day, because quite frankly, that's bullshit. Yeah. Absolute bollocks. And it really annoys me when you get these 20-something influencers who go, we've all got the same 24 hours in the day. Bollocks. just no, we don't, and you tried saying that to a mum, who's got a young child. She has not got the same 24 hours in the day as some 24-year-old fitness influencer who has no responsibilities.
Yeah.
However, we do need to understand that there are some changes that need to be made, whether that is, you know, changes in what you do and putting the effort in. And yes, it's hard work. By nature, we are not lazy, but we are creatures of the path of least resistance. We look for the easiest way to do things. And we've been given stuff, you know, on a plate. If you want food, you can click on an app and it's delivered to your door. You can even get your shopping delivered to your door. We don't walk anywhere, you know, we'll drive everywhere. Probably because it's safer to drive everywhere than it is to walk nowadays. But, you know, and we have our entertainment in the house. We don't go out and do things as much. We need to fight that. And I know that somebody we both like, Emma Story-Gordon, one of her phrases, and pardon my French, is, well, I'm not going to say the word F average, right? Because the average person doesn't exercise. The average person has a diet that is high in processed food. The average person walks fewer than 5,000 steps. The average person is also overweight or obese, you know, and that's something we need to address. And the average person has an increased risk of type 2 diabetes, an increased risk of, and it's depressing, it is, I know. But if we want to fight that, then we have to be better than average. I've known that, I did that myself 7 or 8 years ago when I hit my biggest weight, and I kind of realized if I carry on like this, it's not good, you know. So yeah, it's easy for me. I work in the gym. I can go and work out all the time, and I'm on my feet all the time. But I have been there where I was a teacher, yeah, and I had that job that was making it very difficult for me to do everything that I needed to do to change my life. Ultimately, I changed my career. I'm not suggesting that that's what everybody should do. It's a bit extreme, but I did make the change, and they're hard. I'm not going to lie, they were hard, really hard. But you know, it's something that we have to kind of look at, and it may well be that we start looking at small changes. So it could be that, you know, we say, right, okay, I can't change my job, but what I can do is I can park further away from the office entrance, so I'm walking further. I can take 15 minutes for lunch where I go for a walk and 15 minutes to eat. Rather than buying lunch when I'm there, I spend 10 minutes the night before putting something dead simple together. And that could be just emptying a bag of salad into a pot and putting a pre-cooked chicken breast on the top. All right. Just these little simple things. And we start with that and then we build on it. But small steps, you know, if an hour in the gym 3 times a week is too much, 10 minutes of doing some exercises at home, or starting off by going for a 15-minute walk every evening. Maybe not now when it's cold and dark, but in the summer it's easier. So start then going for that walk, or at lunchtime. Start small and build. But I think ultimately, if we want to achieve our body composition goals, not body fat goals, but body composition goals, we've got to understand that lifestyle is the reason we are where we are, and lifestyle has to change to get there.
Definitely, yeah.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
Fantastic one to end on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just it's one of those things, and I hear a lot. Like I say, I like Emma Story-Gordon, and she talks about this a lot, and it's a hard truth sometimes. It is a hard truth, and it's a hard pill to swallow. But ultimately, if we're not happy with where we are, then we need to change it. We need to do something, and it is hard. But do you want to stay the same and be miserable? And this is something I said to. This is the question I asked myself. Don't change, stay miserable. Change.
Yeah.
And okay, there's a risk that you might not be happier, but if you don't try,
you won't know.
Find out.
And you can apply that to other areas of life as well, can't you? Like, that's not just
100%.
Job, 100%. Relationships, like everything, you know, you can apply it to all of those things. It's worth just reflecting. I'm where I am. No, what can I change? What can I control?
Yeah. I tell you what, next week, and this is something I've started doing again, and it's something that I want to do. I want to introduce to the Shape Up program about journaling. And I'm not talking about journaling in the kind of, people might think the flowery way where we discuss feeling, but journaling for me, it's something that I did when I started my business, and to get to where I am now. And it's something that I've started doing again. I let it go. And one of the things I realized that when I stopped journaling, and it was a realization that hit me about 2-3 weeks ago. I was talking to my coach and my mentor, and I stopped journaling, and I got comfortable, and things just drifted. And I think I've said this to you as well, Alessandra, in that what journaling does for me, I set myself daily targets and goals based on what I have long-term goals that are 12 months, break it down into 6 and 3 months. And then I look at what my daily targets are. And then at the end of the day, I review it. Have I done it? Have I achieved it? What do I need to do tomorrow? And all that simple process, all that does is it just keeps me on track. And it keeps me, I'm looking at these things and going, I've not done that. So, and it comes back to that old kind of saying, you can't be angry about the results you didn't get for the work you didn't put in.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and I was kind of beating myself up because I wasn't progressing in certain things in the way that I wanted to. But then I realized, actually, because I wasn't holding myself accountable by checking on my daily actions, I wasn't doing what I needed to.
Yeah.
And that comes back to the big thing back into that, if you're not achieving your fat loss goals, then there's got to be something that needs to be looked at and changed. And I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. It isn't, but we've got to look at you have to look at what it is that needs changing to kind of get those results. And that's what we do as coaches. That's what we try and do. And it might not be the first thing might not work. Let's try something else. That doesn't work. Let's try something else. We work with you until we find something that works for you. And that's the difference with our program. It's not a cookie cutter. We don't just give everybody the same calories, and if you come to us and go, that workout doesn't work for me, we'll change it.
Yeah. And we are commit. Like, the one thing I will say is I've had conversations with my clients, like, I promise you, we'll work this out. Like, we'll work out what's going on and we'll get you to where you want to be. Like, we'll work together and get you there. Like I say, it's not a cookie cutter program. You're not going to get an automated message. No. It's not just someone through a phone. Like, we are there to support you and change what needs to change.
We do weekly check-ins with every single one that does this program. And we've got this Q&A to answer questions, but we do weekly check-ins with those clients. We do feedback videos. We talk to them. They can message us if they've got questions. The number of, I've been doing form videos this week. I've done about 5 or 6 of them for clients who just want to check form. And I love, that's why we do it. I love doing that sort of thing because we like educating. And hopefully this is what we do on this. Cool. I think that's covered everything.
I think so.
Bit longer than I anticipated, but I thought this would be a quick one. I need to learn to shut up. That's my problem. All right, then, Alice, we shall call it a night there. I am going to be getting messages saying my tea's ready in a minute. So,
me too.
All right, then, guys. If you've got any questions, look out for the posts on the stories and on our socials. We will put that up. But until next week, it's bye from me.
And bye from me.
Bye for now, guys.